Hey mamas, it's Jennifer from mandalisformamas.com. I'm so happy you're here today. So let's get ourselves present and ready to receive some information in this moment. So we'll just start with taking a deep breath in. And with this breath, release anything that you are coming from, anything that was in the past, recent past. And with your next breath, go ahead and release anything that you have waiting for you. Any to-dos. With your next breath, just bring in your focus to this present moment, ready to hear and receive in a way that can support you best today. All right. Let's get to it. So again, I'm Jennifer from mandalisformamas.com, and I work with moms to create fierce self-care habits and to really nourish and grow their capacities to live a joyful life. So I'm excited you're joining me today. The one big idea I want to talk about is that you are free to choose your own reality. And I know how hard that can be, how overwhelming being a mom can feel at times, how it feels like you're just in a hole that you can't get out of. And so what I want to talk about is this idea of choosing your own reality, and then give you a concrete tool that you can start to use immediately so that you can bring in that joy that I know you want to have as a mom. So let's talk about this. In the book, Kelly McGonigal's book, The Upside of Stress, she talks about how you get what you expect. And what she means by that is that if you expect the stress of a situation to be harmful to you, or to be something that's going to prevent you from doing what it is that you really want to be doing, then that's what you're going to get. Versus if you just flip that reality and you say, boy, stress can serve me, that this physical sensation of stress is actually providing me with something that will help me to engage with this experience and get something out of this experience, then stress becomes this tool that we can use. It can be of service to us. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about bedtime. Bedtime, I have a non-sleeper, and bedtime has felt chronically stressful and difficult the whole 5 years that I've known my daughter. And when I choose the reality that bedtime is stressful, when I get into that all or nothing thinking of this is hard, it's always going to be hard, I am never going to get any rest, she is never going to sleep, I'm using those always and never words, then that stress, then that reality that I'm choosing is to stay in a really uncomfortable place that doesn't move anybody forward. It just activates this fight or flight or freeze response, rather than me saying, what if instead I chose a different reality? What if I said, wow, right at the time of day that I'm starting to feel a lull in my energy, my daughter actually needs me to be alert to what it is that she needs. So the stress that I'm feeling is actually my body and my nervous system's way of saying, hey, wake up and pay attention. You're of need, you're of service here. Your services are needed here. So how about we just give you a little boost so that you can engage? And then what happens if I just ride that wave of like an increase of energy and an increase of alertness that then naturally will flow back down into a more relaxed state? It's a subtle difference, but it's a really powerful difference. I'm not saying this is easy. What I'm talking about is that you do have a choice, and to develop that ability to make that choice takes a lot of dedication to practice of self-care and really learning to be present. So what I want to offer you today is a really simple tool that you can start to implement immediately. I want to talk about a tool that will help you pay attention, will bring you into the present, will help you to embrace the reality that you have right now and to make some choices around it. So what I want to talk about is the tool of imagery. And I'm going to give you some information and then I'll talk a little bit about why imagery works. I want to take you through an experience first. So what I want you to do is start to ground yourself in the reality of the imagery that you already have in your environment. So just take a moment to look around and just see what's in your immediate environment. What does it feel like to you? What are the images that jump out to you? Do the images reflect you? Do you see yourself in these images? Or does it feel like there's an overabundance of maybe the people that you're serving, where there's an absence of you? Do you see spots of balance, of harmony? Or does it really reflect what you see immediately in front of you? Does it bring up a feeling of imbalance? You would know this if you felt the urge to change something, or if it felt really uncomfortable, if that stress response started to come up. This is your reality. And in some ways, you can say that you're complicit in creating this reality, that you've chosen this, that you've allowed, if you feel some imbalance, a lack of harmony, that you've chosen that. And your job right now is to say, to feel what it feels like to feel that imbalance. Because until you let yourself, just not from a judgment place, not from a place of again, this is another thing that shows me that I'm doing a bad job. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is right now, in this moment, your life is what it is. And you've been called to shift that your perception, to shift how you are choosing to be in this moment. So you have to be honest about what is real. And if you notice, if you're feeling some discomfort of disharmony or an imbalance, that's great, because now you've got a place to start. Now I want you to look one more time. Just open your heart up a little bit more and really search for where you are present in your environment. Is there an image that when your eyes light on it, you're like, yes, that is my truth. It could be a color that you see that all of a sudden gives you a little spark. It could be just simply a shape. It could be a drawing that your child did. It could be a word you have written on a calendar somewhere. Just take a moment to look around. Where's the spark? This is your anchor. This is your truth. So what I want you to do is to start to grow that truth in your environment and in your reality, so that you don't have to right now have all the tools you need to be able to choose a reality that says, I embrace the alertness and the energy that stress gives me. But instead, right now in your environment, you have visual images, you have visual anchors that say, oh yeah, I wanted to choose some joy today. Or, oh yeah, I'm this person that really actually has a high level of confidence. And I'm going to let that show today. And I'm not going to let the fact that nobody else around me wants to give me a high five for all of my confidence get me down. Because I can see it. I can see around me that I've chosen a feeling of confidence. That I've chosen to be patient today. That I've chosen a life of service. I've decided to be a mom because I believed in the importance of unconditional service to another person. So use those images in your environment to energize you. I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, but first I want to talk about why images work. Our brains actually speak a visual language. We may think that we think in words, but we actually think in pictures that we then translate into words. So on its most basic level, that's why we can understand like universal signs and things like that, because we all can relate to that image. It's a very efficient way for us to take information and then to expand and add our own kind of sense to it. So, on its most basic level, images get right to the heart of what our brains need to make sense of our world. We don't have to even understand them. We don't have to understand why we're drawn to a certain shade of a color, or why we love spirals versus a triangle, for example. It just resonates with us. And again, I don't want you to feel like you have to today be such a self-care superhero that you can choose to enjoy stress. Instead, what I want you to do is here's your homework. I want you to start to take that anchor image that you discovered in our exploration today, and how can you build that into your environment? Rather than the repetition of clutter in your environment, I have a 5-year-old, so there's lots of clutter, so that resonates with me, but rather than the repetition of something else, start to build the repetition and nurturing of the image that you anchor to, that reminds you of your truth that you want to live out. It could be as simple as going through magazines and cutting out images and taping them to the wall. You can get out small pieces of paper and draw that image. Find ways to incorporate that color into different places where you look frequently. Like I know for me, the kitchen is a big space, or the dining room table when I gather with my family. Maybe in the car because we spend time driving back and forth to school. That's a time where I really want to figure out how to be more present. So, the one big idea we talked about today was that you are free, always free, to choose your own reality. And that today, you don't need to know how to do this. All you need to do is to be able to look and anchor yourself to what it is that holds meaning to you. What makes you feel in your truth. And you're going to do that through incorporating imagery into your environment as visual reminders. All right, mamas, you can connect with me through my website. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter. All those links are below. I'm also on Periscope and Instagram. And again, those links are in the description below. Be well, mamas, and you enjoy your images. All right, take care.